Okay, so this part I promise will be shorter. We're dealing with Islam in Europe. As I've already mentioned, we talked about the different Islamic dynasties in Spain, but remember, eventually in Spain come Ferdinand and Isabella, and they expel not only the Muslims from Spain, but also the Jews who had, remember, we talked about the large Jewish population, Sephardic Jewish population in Barcelona. They all get kicked out, right? That happens in, remember 1492 Columbus? That's Ferdinand and Isabella. All right. So Protestant Reformation results. So we're in the middle of the 16th century here. Here, this is what it looks like. Now, isn't how it remains. Actually, Protestantism, expands, but the green remains Catholic. You notice that it's mostly in the closer to Rome, right? We have the Lutheran, which is Lutheranism, right? Calvinist. I mentioned Calvin, so he was a French or Swiss. Worked in Geneva, and they have little bits here and there. Calvinism isn't really a religion so much, or not anymore. It's more along gets. Presbyterianism comes from Calvinism. And then, of course, you've heard of Henry VIII. So essentially, we have a whole big breakup with the Protestant Reformation by the mid 16th century, where the Catholic Church no longer has the power, the political power, spiritual power that it had all over Europe, right? In addition to that, we have the Ottomans who come in now and begin to take over and establish the Ottoman Empire, which look how close that is to like Austria and Italy, right? So this causes a potentially a real crisis moment for the Catholic Church, right? Not only do they have the threats from the threat of Protestantism, but now they've got this other very powerful religion, kind of what they would consider be encroaching very close to where they used to be. Now, the Ottomans did not take over a Catholic area; they take over an Eastern Orthodox area. The Byzantine would be the Eastern Church, and of course, this remains Eastern, right? The Ottomans will spread their Islam throughout a number of areas in Eastern Europe as well, and beyond these borders later on. So just a bit of a going back a little bit. So that was the mid 15th century during the Protestant Reformation, after much of it had taken hold. The Byzantine Empire had been really well reduced. Now, it used to be huge, right? And then it shrunk, and now it was really tiny. So by the time the Ottomans took over, there wasn't much of what they had left, right? But still, Constantinople was such a jewel in the crown of the once magnificent Byzantine Empire that when the Ottomans took it over and of course changed the name to Istanbul, it was a major defeat. So let's take a peek here at how the Ottomans came in. It's not super important that you know when and what, but the name. But here we are. Where is? Actually, let me look at this. It's Erdine, right? Erdine. I should know where that is. Oh, goodness gracious. Why don't I not see it? That's strange. Okay, well, that's pathetic. I don't think I have it on this map. So Erdine was going to be, it's going to have to be around here in this area. Erdine was the major city, the first big city that any European coming from, Europe into the now Ottoman territory would have come to, right? And so the Ottomans, under the rule of Selim II, built this massive mosque named for Selim II, Mosque of Selim II, or that's what we call it anyway. And it's in Erdine, Turkey. So it's important to the Ottomans here to create a religious building that totally outdoes Christian churches, in particular Hagia Sophia. Now this isn't in Constantinople, now Istanbul. It's, but there was such great things said about Hagia Sophia that the Sinian, who's the architect here, absolutely wants to outdo not only Hagia Sophia, but also any Christian churches. And that's the goal with this particular building. Okay, so that is what I have to say about Islam in Europe in the mid-16th century, mid to late 16th century. Thanks a bunch.